Okay, so welcome to Satsang. As you know, if you have any questions, you're welcome to pose them just by speaking your question or by writing your question in the chat box.
Hi, Magdi.
Yes, hello, Anne.
Yes, it's
Yes.
Anne. Hi.
Hello, Anne.
I was just listening to some of your teachings today, and I was particularly interested in, I'm not sure how to describe it, but perception, because usually when I'm driving around again, I often look out and think, other than the question, what am I? What is the reality of what I am? And I look out and I think, what is this? Because I'm obviously seeing things in a separate way. I'm seeing this and that. I'm seeing me and that, the world out there. And I experiment with different ways of looking at it. I experiment with trying to see it as what it would be like if there was no person here. That gives me some sort of idea of it. And then I was listening to your teachings today, and that helped a little bit. But I find it such a big shift to see everything as one, that I'm not separate. But after I spoke to you last week, and you said about using the phrase, I know thought doesn't know me. And you said, and if you sit with that, that'll strengthen. And that is definitely what's happened. It's becoming more and more clear to me that I know thought doesn't know me. Whereas before I spoke to you, I felt that was kind of controlling me a bit. I was getting confused with that.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for that. That's really helped me this week. But this is the question that's constantly keeps coming up for me, because I'm quite a visual person. So I look out and
Yes.
yeah.
If there was really, truly something outside of you, you would have no connection to it. The fact that you have connection with something speaks to a certain intimacy. points to a dimension more of interconnectedness than of separation. The fact that we perceive something signifies that this something is already within our knowingness. So whatever we imagine to be outside of us, the fact that we're imagining it already means there is already a connection that puts in question the validity of something being separate from ourselves. And the act of observation or the fact of perception puts even more doubt upon the actuality of separation. Do you follow that?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. So that is worthy of reflection and your contemplation. Also, perception refers to a perceiver, a perceived and perceiving. They are not separate. The distance between the perceiver and the perceived is zero. And the activity of perception is intimate with the perceiver and with the perceived.
Yes, so that's what I heard you say today on a teaching. And it took me a while, but it's like for a split millisecond, the perceiver disappeared. So the perceived and the perceiver, I could see it as one. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
But it was only, it was so brief.
The brevity of insight does not take away from its depth and from its profundity. There is zero distance between I, the perceiver, and my perception. When I contemplate what is my perception, the mind comes to stillness.
Sorry, when you contemplate where or what is my perception?
Where is my perception?
Where?
Where is it?
Yes, yeah.
The fact is, I cannot step out of my perception to say it's over there, to point to it. How could I?
Mm.
I am complete intimacy with the perception, so there's no possibility of stepping out of the perception to say anything about it. The mind comes to complete stillness when it faces the fact of oneness or complete intimacy. So when you experience a sense of separation, or you're visually perceiving something out there, contemplate that you are not perceiving something out there, that you are perceiving your perception. So you can turn your head right now if there is a window or a door with a glass door.
Yeah.
Look out, and let's say you are perceiving a tree or you are perceiving a neighbor's house.
It's too dark. I can't see anything.
Oh, okay. Yes,
But I can see onto the landing.
Okay, so you're perceiving the landing.
Mm.
So rather than contemplating, I am perceiving the landing, what's the color of the landing, what is, any characteristics of the landing, contemplate that you are perceiving your perception. You're perceiving your perception. You're always perceiving your perception.
Oh, that's a tricky one.
Perception occurs in complete silence and complete stillness. In your complete absence is the perception, which is quite different from the thought commentary. The thought saying, "Oh, I perceive the landing," which is a commentary about the perception. So thought makes a commentary about absence, as if thought knows absence, but it doesn't. Thought is absent during perception. It may arise afterwards. But
Yes.
during perception, there is no perceiver, no perceived. There is complete stillness, complete not knowing, complete silence.
Yes.
So the sense of separation that you experience is composed of two aspects, let's say, two dimensions to the sense of separation. There is the sensation, which is completely neutral, and there is the mental overlay, which arises as the I thought. I am feeling ... So there is a sensation which is purely impersonal and has no, completely neutral. It is void of any emotions. And when thought arises with its commentary, then the sensation becomes a feeling. So when you are experiencing a certain sense of separation, be still and quiet and see if you can go just to the baby-like, unborn aspect of the sensation before the mind gets hold of it. So it's sort of a journey back, because so quickly there is a mental overlay that is accompanies the sensation. So you have to sort of journey back in a way.
Well, I often use that actually. I think of like almost like a memory of being a baby or a child and how I would see it then.
Mm-hmm.
That really helps to you know to see clearly.
So perception has a pure quality to it, which is the quality of awareness. And then it goes through the prism of the mind and it diffracts into infinite thoughts. So the piece of being, when it goes through the prism of the personhood, of the personal self, it diffracts into infinite emotions and feelings and thoughts. And like the white light, when it hits the prism, it diffracts into infinite colors. You have to sort of recognize the overlay.
Yes, yes. Because I think I can be just driving along and my mind's quiet, everything's quiet. But I think my mind comes in and says, you're not seeing properly. You're not, it's you and that.
Right.
Whereas really, that's just...
Thought is always referring to you as a story, as an image, as a person, as a bundle of feelings, as a bundle of thoughts. Thought doesn't know you. The self is beyond thought. There are no thoughts in the self. The self is peace, the stillness of being, the silent, the core, the silent core of being. So whatever thought says about you is highly, highly, highly suspicious. I mean, completely suspicious.
Yes, yes. I realised that this week, yeah. So what I'm realising as you're speaking is that the thoughts are making me look for something, they're making me seek for something that is not there. They're making me, they're sort of saying, look, quietly, not hardly noticeable, look, you can't see it. You're not seeing what you should be seeing. But actually, the relaxation and of just being is what I'm looking for.
Yes. Yes. At its inception, at its source, the thought says, you are lacking, and I'm here to help you. You're missing out, you're incomplete. Listen to me, I'm going to help you become complete. But the fact is that thought itself is limited, is incomplete. How can the limited self or incompleteness help you? It's very suspicious, highly suspicious. But the initial unseen thought, the I thought, is there, that you are a person means you're incomplete, meaning you're born and you're gonna die. So that's incompleteness. The self is complete, is absolute and eternal. There is no death or birth for the self. But thought arises and says, "Oh yeah, you're Anne, you're this woman, you're born, you're the body mind. But it's silent, you don't see it, you don't notice, but you need to notice that
Yeah.
the I of thought is always referring to an organism, a body mind in space and time.
Mm.
But space and time appear to you.
Mm.
Space appears to you as perception, and time appears to you as thought. Yesterday, tomorrow, thought images. They appear to you.
Mm.
If they appear to you, that means you are not in time, you are not in space. They are in you, they appear to you. They are within you, you are not within them. You follow?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it just struck me when you said, because obviously I've been looking at thoughts this week and challenging, I know thought, it doesn't know me. But then when you said there's even silent thought, I think that's the thing that I've not been aware of as much. The silent I thought.
Yes, there is the, let's say,
The subtle.
the hidden, the
Yeah.
hidden I thought.
Yeah.
I think in Christianity, they refer to it as original sin.
Mm.
You know, out of Brahman, Maya, the potential. Out of Brahman arises the I thought, the I and the world, the I and the this, I and this. The I thought that I am a person, I am born, is not seen. It's like below the radar, but it's there. It's like in your house there is dust everywhere, but you don't see it. You only see, for example, the things that the large objects that you left that you need to put back in the cupboard. You know, the pillows that you need to arrange, but you don't see the dust that's everywhere. So the base, the me feeling, is the base I thought in the feeling level, at the feeling level, at the mental level, at the mentation, it's the I thought that I am Magdi, I am a person. I'm a person. I'm sitting here on the chair. I am the body mind sitting on this couch. That's sort of the default mode in ignorance. But it's all the emotions are based on that default mode.
Yeah.
So there's the I thought that I am this person, and there's a feeling. I sense that I'm me. You can't really explain it, but yeah, I'm me. Yes, of course I'm me, whatever that is. But it's a me feeling. It's a general me feeling, which is quite different from, for example, I'm upset at you because you broke your appointment. That's still the me sense, but now it's activated, and now you can see the me and the you, the me and her, but still you don't see the base assumption.
Yeah, that's the tricky one. Yeah.
Right. Instead, what you are seeing is the next thought. She's wrong, and of course I'm right. So the thought is constantly activating you to remain distracted in the me story, but without noticing the personal self.
Yeah, definitely. That's what I'm sensing, that sort of background hum that I can't quite kind of get a grip on. Like, it's easy with the thoughts because they're very, very obvious, and the stronger the thought, the more obvious. But it's the subtle me feeling.
Right. So now that we're speaking of it, so there is some understanding that whenever we're referring to I, we need to stop and say, what are we when thought says I, what is thought referring to? Oh, here is the fox. Can you see it?
Oh, yeah. It's a
Oh,
baby.
yeah,
The
they're here.
baby.
You see it?
Oh, it's lovely.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know, can you
Wow.
see it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, the foxes, yeah.
So cute.
Yes.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
Oh. He would have come in if you'd had the door open.
Right, yes. Yeah, they play, they hop around,
Yeah. Cute. Do you feed them?
No, we were told that it's not a good idea to feed the fox or the wildlife because they don't know. No, we don't feed them.
Okay.
But there are a lot of little chipmunks and so on around. So,
Nice.
but consciousness, meaning awareness, presence, is the sun, and the me feeling is the candle. So you have available to you consciousness. You have available to you the sun as your very self. Your very self is this borderless, boundless awareness. Universal self, universal awareness. Yes?
Yes.
So you have that available to you. You don't need to figure out too many things. You can just rest as being. Yes? Rest as being.
Yes.
And invite yourself to rest as being, as your very self that you are. Invite yourself to rest as that you are. And the recognition of being is there because that's your interest. Your interest is in being and not in becoming. If your interest is in becoming, then you're interested in the objects of the world and the objects of the mind.
Yeah, that's really good actually, because I'm realizing today there's this impatience and wanting to get there and wanting to wake up rather than resting in being. And the I thought, the subtle I thought, is pulling me out, going, yeah, you've got to try harder. And not as obviously today, but just as I'm speaking to you, it's all coming up now that what's pulling me out, what's trying to pull me out of that being and resting as being.
Right. Resting as being is more sort of like a falling back rather than a moving forward.
That's what I'm saying. That's how it feels normally. It feels like definitely falling back and just so peaceful. But today, some seeking was resurfacing.
Right. Thought arises and says, "Hey, how are you doing? Are you getting there?"
Yeah.
But the thought that refers to I, how are you doing, or the you in thought, what is that you in thought? The I that thought refers to is just a thought, an image. Thought doesn't know you. So we slip so easily back into being subject to thoughts and feelings. They're veils. The I thoughts and the me feelings are veils. Behind the veils is the real self. Don't stay at the veils level. Don't just define yourself by the veils, by the thoughts and the feelings. Behind the veils is the self.
And that's effortless.
Effortless, yes, effortless. The self doesn't need to make any effort. It already is the self. Something that is not the self tries to make an effort to be the self. But there is nothing that is not the self.
And that's what's been picked up again today, that efforting and forcing and pushing rather than resting and allowing. And
the contemplation of truth is a love story. It's not an Olympics and prepping for the Olympics. It's a love story.
Yeah.
It's sweet. It has passion in it. It has interest. It has enjoyment. We are the love. We are not the layers of thoughts and feelings. What we are is the untouched, the ether of being. It's untouched, untouchable, and the peace, the joy, the love, the well-being, undefined, not defined. It is this, it is that, it is that. Undefined. And that's what I is. I is this complete transparency, this vastness, this ease of being. It's there. It's there. But the veils of thoughts and feelings, they pull you. But you're not, in fact, anything that is defined by the thoughts and the feelings. It's all images, a play of mirrors.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you. It's just thrown me back into that trust and being, relaxation.
Right.
Sometimes my desire is so strong to get there and there's nowhere to get that I panic. And that's constantly my lesson, is to just relax, let go, fall back.
If in fact there was a here and a there, and we need to get there, then God is very cruel. But God is love, not cruel.
No.
There isn't, in fact, a here and a there. That would be brutal. Because if there is a here and a there, that means separation is real. Real. And if separation is real, then it's a reality. And there is nothing to do. There is nothing to do about reality. What would do anything about reality?
Yeah, exactly.
But the reality, if you look at your experiences, you never, in fact, never experienced anything separate. You've never been separate. There is no separation. That's just thoughts and feelings that I am separate. But in your experience, look in this very moment, because your experience is this very moment. What is separate? You cannot divide the sky in two or cut the ocean in four.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you.
Okay, Anne.
Lovely. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for your question.
Have a nice retreat.
Well, the retreat in Manchester, we cancelled it because of the fires. There's some really bad fires in the area.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yes.
what a shame.
Yeah, and the smoke has affected the area, so we cancelled the retreat.
Oh, no. Oh, but we get to see you anyway. Not good for the people for the retreat, but nice to get to see you.
It's
It's a
all good.
shame.
It's all good.
Mm. Mm. Thank you.
Any questions?
Maggie?
Yes. Hello, Esther.
Hello. I was just realizing that if the fires started today instead of last week, just 1 week, we'd be in the midst of it. So it was really a blessing how it worked. As you were sharing with Anne, it really struck me how the personal I is our default, is my default. And just to be aware of that, how the emotions tie into that constantly. And I wanted to ask about when I am confronting a heavy vasana, let's say, would you speak to the quality of the alertness that's required at the same time as staying with it and allowing? Would you speak to the alertness that's needed to stay in touch with reality at those times?
So, when a vasana arises, there is a tendency to contract, meaning a tendency to revert back to the personal self and to have a subject-object relationship with whatever is happening via mentation and via bodily contraction. It's really important to notice that, because in the absence of noticing that, then the vasana doesn't have an opportunity to really release. Instead, it sort of digs itself a little bit deeper. So, in terms of the alertness, it has like two aspects to it. One of them is being willing to be still, completely still, in the midst of what maybe initially may seem to be quite a negative emotion, quite a negative feeling in the body mind. And to be completely transparent to that. without any personal intention. In time, you will find that when these situations arise, it becomes easier and easier to be still, and the mind's tendency to label what's happening diminishes. It's more and more absent, and there is just the raw being with what is, and the emptiness of the emotion, the emptiness of the feeling, the stillness, the silence of it becomes more and more your experience rather than the mental label and the density of the emotion. So there is, I would say, an alertness to the tendency to want to move away from that feeling. Similarly, or simultaneously, there is the spinning mind. The thoughts are spinning because the separate self is thinking via thought, is trying to get you away from stillness. So there is a tendency to want to say something or think something about this person or that person or me, bad me, good me. And there is a certain alertness and contemplation that can allow you to see the entire illusory aspect of these thoughts. Because within these thoughts, there is a me and a him, or a me and a her, or a me and another me, the good me and the bad me. And it's all empty and it's all unreal and untrue. I am not that which thought says I am, and what thought says the other is. That is all illusion. It is a hall of mirrors. And the Vasana is a great opportunity for some of the veils to thin out and to drop, and to recognize yourself beyond that as the stillness, as the unmoved, unstirred presence. It's more of an absence. And the body goes along with that. And that the body also can drop its veils and become more transparent, reveal its truer nature as the transparency, the universal body, the cosmic body. And then there is a body of thought that may arise, which are also veils that have to do with my spiritual practice and how well I'm doing with the vasanas. The evaluation, the measurement, the hope and the hidden despair. It's all empty. All of it is empty. Because in the midst of all of that, you are the piece of being. You are Brahman. And this arising requires your participation in maintaining the veils, in maintaining the projections. The sense of me that is unhappy. You are not that. You're not that sense of me that is unhappy. And you want that me to be happy, and that's one of the veils. You have to be completely willing to let that completely die, completely go. So that your freedom from the veil of separation is revealed to you. So you're open to it all. You're transparent to all of it. There is nothing, in fact, that troubles you. But when you are in the theater and you are so identified with the act that's on the theater floor, you are so identified with the play, you forget yourself. You identify with some thought image story. And it's as if you leave yourself and you are some actor or a player on the stage. But what is sitting in the theater is not a body. It's just a metaphor. There is no theater and there is no one sitting in the theater. It's a metaphor. You are nothing that can be described or mented. But you're not trying to go anywhere with your vasana. Because the vasana refers to the illusory self. It doesn't refer to you. You are in a way witnessing it, which already refers you that you are not it. If you perceive it, you are not it. If you perceive a feeling, you are not the feeling. If you're perceiving a thought, you are not that. Right? Thought cannot say what you are. And yet you are, yet I am. This aware presence.
Magdi, I remember a few satsangs ago you saying, I am is louder and larger than all of it. And that really stuck.
Mm-hmm. The fact of being, the absolute, irrefutable beingness of being. So that consciousness is the elephant in the room. It is, isn't it? Everything appears to me. Everything is within me. I never leave myself. How could I go anywhere? Everything appears and disappears in me. use the world, body, mind that's appearing to you to refer to that to which it appears. Use it. It's available to you. It's gifted to you to awaken to their reality.
Thank you, Magdi.
Okay, Esther. So, any question?
Magdi?
Hello, Zoe.
Hi. So I was listening to last satsang and it's like amazing. There's times when I re-listen to it and I go, oh my goodness, I didn't even hear you say that. So you said something like all we experience truly is stillness and silence.
Yes.
And I just fell in love with that. And if you would just speak about that some more, it just really impacted me.
So, before the word, before the thought, I am. Consciousness is the peace and stillness of being. Within the thought, within any arising, I am. The I is, consciousness is. Our true experience is consciousness. And what's the point of talking about our untrue experience? So there is only true experience. What would be an imaginary experience? What is the truth of an imaginary experience? The truth of any experience, whether the experience is imagined or non-imagined, whatever labels you want to put on the experience, the reality of the experience is the self. I muted you because I was hearing a little background sound, Zoe, but you can unmute yourself, in just a minute. So there is only the reality of our experience. There is only one reality. And that reality isn't interacting with another reality. If it was interacting with another reality, they would be having a discussion, yes? Those two realities will be having some sort of interaction. But of course, that is not the case, because if there were two realities interacting, what would know that? There would be an absolute reality that knows those two realities interacting. So in fact, this brings us back to the one reality. In fact, there's only one reality, and there is no such thing as interaction. Therefore, all your interactions and your conversations are dream conversations and dream interactions. The reality of your experience is consciousness, meaning the stillness of being, the silent stillness of being. Sometimes there are things that you hear in satsang that they go where they need to go. They serve their purpose. There is what the mind is hearing, and there is the stuff that is subtler than thought, and thought cannot hear it. It just goes past it. And even though you may not understand it, something loves it. So what I'm trying to say is that I think what I said in satsang last time is self-explanatory. Just if you heard it again and it stood out for you, spend a few minutes with it. Just let it suspend with it. Be in suspension with it. Let it reveal itself to you. It will. Before the concept, I am. Within the concept, I am. After the concept, I am. I am independent of all concepts, independent of the word, independent of thought. The I am is the peace and stillness of being. It's beyond the silence of the mind. It is the absolute silence. The loudest silence of all. It's a lived silence. It's a silence that is life. Life is that silence. Not life like you imagine it to be. Not human life or animal life, or not time and space life. The eternity of being is this silence. You are hearing the silence, but you're not hearing it. You're hearing it, but when you hear the silence, you are the silence. So it's not a hearing with the ears. It's a being the silence, being silence, which is the true hearing, living silence. And it's complete freedom, you see. Because it may seem to speak, you may seem to hear. But knowing yourself as the silence, knowing yourself is knowing the silence, is knowing truth, knowing being. And as that knowingness, you never say anything, you never go anywhere, and you never do anything. But to the mind is always writing the script, writing the novel, page 52,842. He did this, she did that, and then he knocked on the door and waited for 2 minutes, etc. And so we imagine ourselves as this stream of thoughts, this stream of movement, this impression. We're mesmerized with that. And we overlook what we truly are. We overlook. And then we go on and on. This and that and that and that. And this living experiment has a time span, you see. To awaken to the self. That's its purpose, its meaning. So you could say that like words, like music, are vibrations of the silence. That's just a limited way of speaking about it, of course. We've been meeting together for a while now, no? Do you still have any questions? Do you? I don't know if you do you? Hey, Tara?
Magdi, this
Hola,
is Ana
Ana
Cristina.
Cristina. Hello, Ana Cristina.
Hello, nice to see you. It's been a great satsang. I wonder if I have several minutes for a last question.
Yes, yes. I don't have any plans.
What you said about the thoughts and voices being the vibrations of silence made me think of Pythagoras, the Greek philosopher that used to hear the music of the spheres. And then I wondered about the effect of music, because certain music seems to address itself not to the me, but to a wider thing. So I was wondering what was the magic of music. You like music, because sometimes I've experienced effects of music that are so calming, so joyful, so still in
I
its
know. The other
sound.
day I think I was with Tara in the car, and there was this so beautiful. This was some flute. I don't know much about music, but I don't know how to
Express.
call it. You know, if it was a sonata or what it was. I don't know what it was. It was so beautiful. Oh, gotta. So beautiful. So beautiful. So beautiful. It's like you know what, your breath stops you. It stops your breath.
Yeah.
You know that expression. It takes your breath away. I think that's the expression.
Yeah.
So, this is. Oh. Yes. There is some music. Is divinely inspired. It's the angels and that are composing it and that are performing it. It's yes. I wish I had a good friend that, well, actually Richard a couple of times, you know, gave me a couple of tips and even gave me CD. That's very, very beautiful.
So that arises from consciousness as well, because it's like inspired by the composer.
Yes, absolutely. It's inspired through the composer, not by the composer.
Yeah, through the composer.
Through,
Yeah,
it's inspired
yeah.
via a particular body mind, not by the composer.
Yeah, it bypasses the mind.
Yes, it goes through the mind, body-mind instrument. And the body-mind instrument, expresses it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I remember years ago, I used to be in science, like doing masters in science, and I was working on a problem with some friends, a complicated problem, and suddenly there was like a download. I sort of saw, it's as if various nodes in the brain got energized in a certain way where it sort of in a flash solved a very complicated problem.
Uh-huh.
And there was a clarity about the solution, and it felt completely that I was completely absent. It was not my doing. It was being done through me. I recall this so clearly. It was God solving the problem via this body mind, and
Yeah.
the it was just grandiose. It felt so magical, and of course, then the mind, gets on board and wants to replicate it.
Yeah. It cannot be replicated
No,
at will. No.
no, absolutely not.
No. It's grace also.
Yes, it is grace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because not all music has that
No,
virtue or
no,
that
no, no,
grace. No.
no,
Certainly not.
certainly not.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we recognize when there is art that somehow has the touch of God's hand.
Mm.
Something with a recognition of beauty, of the love, of the peace, of the depth, of the silence. It's
Like harmony and yeah. That's a gift.
yeah.
Mm.
Well, it's a gift from God. Yeah. It's a,
Mm.
it's a universal gift, a gift to all of us.
Yeah. Thank you, Mag.
Yes, Anna Christina.
Magdi,
Yes, Anne.
could I just ask one more thing quickly? There's been some teachers that I've been listening to in England, and I've been through quite a few different teachers, starting with Rupert Spira, then Muji, and then various others. And in England, there are some teachers, and I think that you might call them neo-Advaita, possibly, but I'm not sure. And it's a bit confusing because I've learned quite a lot of them, but they're very different from the satsang type of teaching. And I don't want to mention names, but there's one teacher in particular that a lot of people seem to have woken up around. And but their message is, I can hear it's coming from an empty place of no person, but they don't, like, some of them don't believe in God. They really dissuade you from practice or seeking. It's difficult to describe, but I find it very different from this type of teaching. But I'm sure that there's no person there, but they can seem quite they can talk against the sort of spiritual path and things like that, in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
That it's keeping you seeking, and I'm not sure what to make of it, really.
You don't need to make anything of it. In terms of working with a teacher, you follow your heart. You follow what resonates for you, what speaks to you, what draws you. There are many different teachers, many different expressions, and each teacher has their way of pointing and of sharing, and there are teachers who are still on the path, who in most cases let me just say, in some cases, do not see that they're still on the path, and speak as if it's the ultimate teaching. And there are some teachers who, that's, I would say, very, very few, who still are on the path, and they still feel like sharing what's, what has been their insights up to now, and that's very sweet. It's a humility in such people, because they're sharing, but they recognize that also they're listening. They're looking, they're listening. And of course, there are teachers that you resonate with, that you completely resonate with, that you recognize, the piece of the self. With a teacher, you get not just the teaching, but you also enjoy, the message, you enjoy the persona, you enjoy how they are. If you know them in their life, you enjoy interacting with them in your daily life on occasion. You enjoy that. There is an enjoyment. And there are sometimes in your path you come upon teachers that are unreachable. Like, you hear them give a talk. Like, for example, maybe Krishnamurti used to give talks to 5,000 people. Gave 1,000 talks. There are teachers like that. They were, from a distance, sort of, you get a certain message, but sooner or later, you will be rubbing elbows with your teacher, with a teacher that you will feel is really speaks to your heart, and you enjoy their you will be rubbing elbows with them in finishing up, finishing up the work. So there are teachers who have partial glimpses too, that they speak from the peak that they have attained. So there are many levels to the mountain, and somebody could be speaking from a certain level, but there are other levels. In terms of there is no one and there is no personal self, that is a very important insight, but that's not the ultimate insight. Yeah? So the insight that there is no one is a very important. In some cases, it is the beginning of the journey. In some cases, it's somewhere along the journey. But the revelation, and that's the clear seeing that there is no one, that there is no actual person here, is a very, very deep insight that can be the beginning of your quest. It's definitely not the end of your journey. The end of the journey is beyond words. It is the unshakable being the self. All is the self. It's not just some new mental understanding or new belief. You need your guru, you need the guru to feel that, to live that, to be that, and also to get that final step, those final steps that are needed. And then you can let go of the guru's hand, and the guru's hand is never holding you. It's always open. They both let go, really. And in terms of today, in today's time, there are teachers everywhere. But there are very few teachers that have the full awakening to the self, and that has been tested and confirmed. There are some folks that have an insight, a very lovely insight, they spent years in the contemplation of the self, and then they seek to get the recognition from another teacher. So they go to a teacher who himself or herself has not been recognized, and they say, so and so is, I am the disciple of so and so, but so and so is the disciple of nobody. Not that it's absolutely essential to be anybody's disciple, but there is something about being in a lineage of the guru, of the teacher, that whereby you have the silent transmission of the teaching. And in a way, the lineage is not about a show. It's not what you see. It's the inner silent transmission. That's really the lineage. So I have a tendency to honor the lineage that comes through the silent transmission via the teacher, via the guru. So there is no one, there is nothing new to seek, there is nothing to attain. All of that, can be said. The guru says that, of course, but also people along the way can say that, because there are many different levels at which that is expressed. It sounds like it's the same message, but it's very, very different. Without these words being soaked, in the perfume of the self, there is mind in them, and they're not pure. They are correct, but they're not pure. And the heart knows it. Well, the heart knows it, and yet not everybody, I would say, even maybe very, very, very few, listen with the heart. There is a stronger tendency to listen with the mind and with the feelings, which is not the heart.
I think it's just trusting that each time I move on, and I keep thinking I've found my teacher. And I've been with these English ones quite a while, and they are very different. I mean, you might know the main one because he's been around a long time, but it's not a guru or lineage. In fact, he speaks against that. And his message is that it's not an insight. His person has completely dropped. So he talks all the time from there's no one here.
Mm-hmm.
That it's undescribable. You can't put it into words. Mm-hmm. And that there's nothing you can do at all. There's nothing you can do. It's...
Well, just... What is the you? I mean, before I go there, What matters is that your journey takes you to peace and happiness, and not to some. It takes you to peace and happiness. So whatever takes you to peace and happiness, you're on the right path.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And I just trust that I'm being led in the right direction.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
just hard to leave things behind sometimes when you think you've found the right thing.
You know,
But
there is one thing that you never leave behind. Everything else is always left behind, whether you think you're not leaving it behind, or whether you think you are leaving it behind. It is being left behind, because everything that you experience, where is it now? The only thing that remains, that is never left behind, is consciousness, is presence, is beingness, whatever name you want to call it.
yeah, that's so
Awareness.
true.
It's the invisible world beyond mind, beingness, self, awareness, presence. That is what we refer to as I.
That's the only thing you can trust, really.
What else? The passing clouds, the passing thoughts, passing emotion, passing beliefs, passing experiences. So you're always trusting the I am. Trusting the I am. But what is this I am? You see, not the I am as a concept, as an idea, but the actuality of I am, the actuality of being. Right now, in this moment, the beingness that I am, just to go there, to experience, to be that, you are that, this beingness. You see, not an idea of I am, not the concept I am, but the amness of I am, the beingness of I am, the awareness, the aware beingness. You see? And that we say aware beingness, but they are just words, but they refer to an actuality. They refer to something that is not the word. So the thing is not the word. It's not the name. It's not the word.
It's beyond words.
The reality of awareness, the reality of consciousness, the reality of beingness, that perceives, that is. It's the undeniable isness of isness, the undeniable isness of being. Undeniable isness of being. Just keep returning to that. It's directness of your beingness. The directness of your experience is beingness. It's not being a woman or being a man or being somebody. It's beyond description, beyond any phenomenal descriptives, beyond, and yet it is. Just remain with that you can be completely certain of, absolutely certain of.
Yes.
Know yourself, know thyself. Know thyself. That's one of the way of summing up the teaching, to know thyself. The one self, the universal self.
Thank you, Magdi. I've loved this this evening. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Lovely. Thank you.
Well, very lovely to be with you all. Yes. So, namaste, and be well, be happy. Very lovely to be with you, to see you all. Okay. Steve. Yes, I see Steve. Melanson. Okay. Very lovely. Okay. Namaste.
Thank you, Magdi.
Okay.
Thank you, Magdi.
Okay. See you. Okay, Zoe.
Thank you,
Pauline.
Magdi. Thank you, everyone. Bye bye.
Love you.